you know.
There's always a blessing in it. Even the struggles you have, the struggles I have, they're struggles that are shared with other people.
Right.
And like you said, like, oh man, you're going through that too. It's probably because this happened and this happened. And like, you can find that kinship, that family of God mentality of knowing, hey man, we're going through this. Let's do this together.
Well, we have the infamous Dave Frey from Sidewalk Prophets with us.
Very infamous. I'm infamously glad to be here, though.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be in the cabin in the woods and just hanging out with you, and it feels right.
Good. I'm glad. I don't want to start interviews with like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah. I can see the exits.
You're creeping me out, Kank. I gotta run. You had a baby.
Yeah,
during
I didn't.
This.
My wife
well,
did.
You guys.
Yeah, she did great.
How was your birth? Tell us about it.
Actually, honestly, I will because the moment William was born, this was back in May of 2020, and the nurse, I swear, was an angel. Like, I swear, because she came in and just was the sweetest woman. William's born, and the first thing she does is she places him by his mom and my feet, and she says, "Isn't it amazing? I can already tell how much you love him. Isn't it amazing that God would give us his son as a sacrifice so that we could have moments like this?" And I was just like,
the nurse said this?
Yes, the nurse said this. Wow. And I was like I was already like in the dad choking up emotional moment. Then she adds a layer of Jesus on top of it. It was a lot to handle, but it was also the best sob that I had that day. But it was amazing, man. Yeah, and healthy, beautiful 15-month-old baby boy now, and it's been the adventure of a lifetime.
Did you know her?
I didn't know her from Adam.
I mean, where did this
Still
come
don't know
from?
her. I think, like I said, she was what was the word? A cherubim or seraphim? One of the two. Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
It was. It was not. I think being in Nashville, there's some bold folks down here, and I think that helped being at the St. Thomas is where we were. But man, long story short, I just really think that she could tell that we would appreciate a sentiment like that.
That's neat.
And there might be a song in there someday. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Now, speaking of songs, I heard there is a certain song, and I don't know if it's still the same song.
Okay.
that will calm your son down. And
yes, that is true. I thought you were about to say something about Celine Dion. I really don't.
Tell us about the Celine Dion.
I don't like Celine Dion, but that's not what you asked. What you're asking is.
So for the record, Dave does not like Celine.
No, please, no. I'm not kidding. Please don't send me Celine Dion stuff. I really can't stand her.
It's gonna be like Rick rolling somebody.
Yeah,
don't
do it. No, it's like people send me Cardinals stuff. I'm a diehard Cubs fan. I literally just put it in the garbage. But anyways, thank you, but no thank you. My son, for some reason, when he was in the womb, I heard this thing where you can play songs and they might recognize it. I'll sing to him. The only one that stuck, man, Billy Joel, Piano Man. Which I'm glad, but I have now listened to 382 times, more than days in a year, because we play it all the time when he was fussy. And that first year, I had prayed for a son with musician's hours. It's a terrible prayer. He was up till 3:30 in the morning nonstop.
Oh,
and
wow.
Sometimes the only thing that would calm him down was Billy Joel's Piano Man. The harmonica part always soothed him. Billy in the load register, he would start to fuss again, and then when he would take it up to that notch, and he would be back in the zone again. So something about Billy Joel, I'm gonna have to take my dad and him to just have that 3-generational love for Billy Joel and go see him someday. So.
Were you offended it wasn't one of your songs?
No, I wasn't at all. I was kind of glad because whatever song that is, you have to listen to.
Well, I guess you'd be sick of it, wouldn't you? Yeah.
And now he loves Smile, our song Smile.
Oh, okay.
He'll say, Dada, Dada. I was playing the Beatles for him the other day, and he took my phone and he pushed it, and he goes, and I was like, what, you don't want the Beatles? Dada. And so he had to hear Smile. So take that, Paul McCartney. True story.
That's awesome. That's cool. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that song now that we're talking about Smile?
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about some Beatles songs.
Well, let's talk about some Beatles songs.
No, yeah, Smile definitely was one of those. A lot of people ask, what did you learn the last year and a half? What's been going on? What's God been putting on your heart? And hands down for me, the word joy is really been everything. Joy, what does that mean? What does it look like in the midst of all these things we're going through? What does it look like as a new dad? And when we sat down to write it, we wanted a joyful song. And I've since come to realize C.S. Lewis is the man, the myth, and the legend, and I love his literature. But his quote on joy, he said, "Happiness, pleasure, and joy only have one thing in common. When you get it, you want more of it." He said, but joy we would always choose because it only comes, it's out of our control at all times. He says, happiness is often in our control and joy never is. And I think that that's telling, knowing that joy only comes from Christ, only comes from this relationship with God. And so that's what Smile has been about for me. It's, happiness is wonderful. It doesn't stick around is what the song says. But there's always joy, even in the midst of our worst day. There's a reason to give praise to God, even in the midst of the worst. And that can look like a moment of peace in the most chaotic day. It can look like standing on a mountain singing, but regardless, it's always there for us.
How do you get joy in the midst of really tough stuff?
I think just talking about it today, there's a beauty in the stillness and the quiet, and it's also scary. It's so scary to turn all the noises off. Sometimes I get in my car, I instantly turn on talk radio, or I instantly turn on, of course, a family life radio.
Of course,
and
yes.
all these things that come at you. But sometimes God is just begging you to be quiet, to listen, and to not make noise. And so I think that in the midst of these days, the screen can be such a devastating destroyer of time with the Lord, and devastating in so much as it clouds all the things that God's trying to tell you. When we named our band, the sidewalk portion was from a Jars of Clay song. It said, "Images on the sidewalk speak of dreams descent." And I imagined a man walking down the street, and right in front of him is what God wants him to see, but he's so busy, so worried that he never sees. He walks right by it. And so we wanted to be a band that was listening to God. And so the way you do that is spending that time in the Word, having that prayer, but also just taking a time out. I think Mr. Rogers talked about that a lot too. Is like some of his best days were when he just shut himself up, and just listened in quiet and stillness. And I think that that's such an important thing these days.
That's good. Talk about where forgiveness is.
Sure. Where forgiveness is, we wrote, I'll never forget the day we wrote that one, just coming in and wanting to be as brutally honest as we could with a song. And I don't think there's any song more honest that we've ever written about how hard it is to forgive, and yet how essential it is to be able to move on, to grow, to thrive. If there's that huge boulder of unforgiveness sitting anywhere in your heart, then you never truly can be free. And so we had those hard conversations. We wrote it with our good friend Parker, Noe, and also Casey Brown, and it was so much fun just being there together with them. They're insanely great writers, and Parker was just open and honest with her lyrics, and we were open and honest right back, and we felt like it wasn't complete because it didn't have this bridge part or this or that or the other. And then when we listened back to it, we're like, that's all it needs. We said everything we need to say there, and it's still one of my favorites. It got a Tom Petty kind of feel, while at the same time having a very challenging lyric that we hope people actually chew on and listen to. So.
Does it come from a difficulty in forgiving for everybody?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think for all of us that were sitting in that room, I think forgiveness is the hardest thing you can do in life. I've been slayed by circumstances and relationships, engaged to the wrong people, and all these things come up and rear their ugly heads 20 years later. And if that forgiveness is still not there, true forgiveness, just giving it to the Lord, it doesn't mean you ever forget it. It always comes back in one way or another, but man, when that forgiveness is there, it's you can talk about it, you can help others through it, and you can really just find that freedom.
How have you been able to let go of something and forgive?
Oh man, time and and patience, and I think that really just seeing so many times when I'm in something and have gotten hurt by someone, some circumstance, there's no way to forgive right away. And I guess it's possible.
I think some people can.
They
I
can.
think it's not.
Which is it has to be from God.
Right.
My folks divorced, and the way that my mom and dad, I'm going to Disney in just a couple of days. My dad is coming, my mother and my stepfather, all in the same hotel. We're all together. How insane is that? And I love it, and I want to live life like that. But when all's said and done, it takes that time sometimes to truly let it go. You're not ready right away. At least I wasn't. And so I think that seeing it displayed the way it did, knowing who we serve, knowing the God, the way that he said, Father, forgive them. They know that's for Jesus to say, forgive them on the cross. There you go. Like that is absolutely the epitome of how we are supposed to live it, and but it doesn't mean it's easy at all.
Yeah, that's a great verse, and that does help me too. Mm-hmm. If he says, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they do," it makes me wonder if some people really don't realize the hurt they caused.
Yep. And some people, you think they realize it. You tell yourself this story of they're out to get me. Some people may mean it, but when all's said and done, I don't think anyone ever realizes the scope of what they're doing to a human soul and a human heart when those things occur, when breakups occur, and to be honest, God sometimes, at least in my life, has broken things so that I could be free from them, and I think that's part of it too. Is time and distance have allowed me to look back and say, oh my, I was never meant to be. I should never have been in there. I've never should have been in that spot, and I'm grateful. 12 years later, whatever it is. And so I think sometimes it's the own masks that we wear and the things we think we want. I think is it Garth Brooks? Thank God for Unanswered Prayers.
Oh yeah, great song.
Yeah, there you go. But that idea that sometimes the prayers we pray are out of a want, and God is like, I hear you, but I'm not going to answer that because you do not want to go down there. And I'm so grateful that he hits me in the face with 2x4 sometimes. God does. Yeah.
So you said something, and I wanted to get back to it because I'm now like, whoa, what did he just say? Were you engaged to the wrong person?
I was, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And now I'm not. I'm married for 4 years to the most amazing woman in the world. Back in into college, there was, I was engaged, and we went on the road, and thank God we did, and things were tested, and fires occurred, spiritual fires, and it swallowed up that relationship, and I'm so grateful. Again, like I said, I draw upon that a lot sometimes in songs. There's hints of that in our song "Real to Me" on the new record, and all these different places. I think you'll find bits of it, but that's where a lot of growth comes from. To know that you don't want that is an absolute beautiful lesson that you sometimes don't learn until way too late in life. And God gave me the opportunity to learn it a little earlier. That saved me from a lot of things that could have gone down a different way. So. And
I'm sure you're just thrilled you're not married to that
person. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I'm super thrilled.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got this the most amazing wife in the world, the most beautiful boy, and I'm so excited that is how this story played out.
That's neat. What is it that, in this project that you're in right now in your album, is there like a main theme or a thought that you're trying to leave with people?
The record's called The Things That Got Us Here, and I think that, you go to the heart of what that is. There's so much devastation that got us to today, to this moment, this conversation. But it's also, people say, would you go back and change anything? And selfishly, probably. But I'm glad I can't, because I wouldn't have learned what I know, and I wouldn't appreciate the self-sacrifice my wife does every day when she goes and takes care of our son at 3 a.m. and just insane things that I probably would have taken for granted. But because I've walked through that fire, those things have brought me to this point that I am right now. And who knows what the future holds. I think the mystery of it all is a beautiful thing. But I think our entire album, from The Joy of Smile to The Light is the last song on the record, is all about trying to find those things that have brought you here and give thanks to God for those things, because this is the story he's given you, and he's got so much more to do.
You know, to be thankful in the face of tragedy or something difficult that you've gone through isn't always easy.
No, not at all.
But you're right; it does make you who you are.
It does.
And that's something I kind of struggle with, because I've got a lot of tragedy in my life. But it's true. I wouldn't be who I am today. Right. Some of that's not good. Some of it's great. I mean, it's part of it's made me kind of jaded, but I can sure empathize with people on a level that I wouldn't be able to before.
Exactly.
There's
always a blessing in it. Even the struggles you have, the struggles I have, they're struggles that are shared with other people.
Right.
And like you said, like, oh man, you're going through that too. It's probably because this happened and this happened. And you can find that kinship, that family of God mentality of knowing, hey man, we're going through this. Let's do this together.
Right. That's good. So you have a song in there that talks about doubt and fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I Believe It Now is definitely another one of those songs where it's, man, even over the pandemic, like I find myself wondering, do I think I'm a good enough husband? Am I a good enough dad? I think when you're at your best as a dad, you still are wondering, am I doing this right? Like, am I going to screw this kid up? And in the midst of that, you wonder, can I provide for my family? That definitely was tested last year. Can I overcome all these things? And then you start going down this rabbit trail of, does anybody care? And do I really deserve to be cared about? Mm-hmm. And so in the middle of those horrible revelations that are actually lies that have been told to me, like, you find yourself doubting and being angry at God for all of it, like wondering if he sees what we're going through and wondering where he is sometimes in all of this. And it reminded me, I think on the back of the record, there's always some verses that go along with each song. And with I Believe It Now is Mark chapter 6. It talks about a man that comes to Jesus, and Jesus heals a son of a demon. And the man says, I believe, help me with my unbelief. And I think that's what I Believe It Now is all about, is this idea that our faith, even at my strongest, man, my faith, it can be shattered in literally a moment. It can be completely, the rug pulled out from under me. Satan is so amazing and so sly at just completely turning my entire mind around in an instant. And I think that with that song, it is literally just a prayer. Later on in Mark, Jesus says, the disciples come to him and they say, how come you could cast that demon out, but we couldn't?
Right.
And he said, because demons like that take prayer.
Prayer and fasting.
Prayer and fasting. And that's the thing, like, that I think this song is our prayer. It's saying, hey, I believe, help me with my unbelief throughout the entire song.
That's good. As we've gone through everything that we've gone through this past, 2020, you talked about provision and God's provision, and other people have lost their jobs and as well. And was there, when you found out, tour's over with, what went through your mind? Were you thinking, where is everything going to come from? Were you thinking, how are we going to pay for everything?
I'm blessed to have a man named Ben McDonald who's standing right over there. We started the band together in a dorm room in college, and a lot of that falls upon his shoulders. I'm there as a partner with him to go through it, but there were many a sleepless night. Mostly because we want to. It's not just Dave and Ben.
Right.
It's Dave, Ben, Cal, Dan, Rains, Jamie, James, all these people that are on our team, and we want to do right. We want to be we want to do what is best, and sometimes what is best is the hardest thing to do, but also is the right path to go on. And so instantly, there's this thing you've been taking for granted for 10 years, and it's gone in an instant. And blessedly, Ben had the idea to rebuild it virtually, like try at least to do something virtually that would allow us to not only monetarily find some footing, but also provide that outlet that we've been desiring, because monetarily is an important thing, okay? But also, man, the spiritual aspect of everything shut down. We have this new record and nobody to go share it with was devastating. And so we needed to find a way to say, hey, here's what God has been telling us before the pandemic. Guess what? A lot of these songs are really working out to speak right into what's happening right now. And I think that blessedly, I have been. Blessedly, I would not, I don't think I'd be here without him. So sharing that burden and finding creative paths to run down. Like if you would have told us you're going to be playing in the band, but you're going to be doing it in front of a camera for an entire year, I would have been completely thought you were insane. And it's not the same. It's not. But at the same time, man, it was a huge blessing.
Mm. So that brings up an interesting thought. How much does touring affect record sales?
A lot, I think. And what is a record sale? First of all, but
true.
But touring affects the merchandise aspect and the being there in person, the human connection, just all that. It definitely moves the needle on a lot of that monetary thing, and it definitely helps give us a sustainable living to provide for that entire team of people. But man, we were grateful again. Like I've thought of it like often as a gushing wound without anything coming in, but we were at least had a Band-Aid to put on it with this virtual shows, and it turned out to be even more than that on many levels, because we still again got to have these VIP hangouts on Zoom, and got to have people interact and do all this. So it was still an important part of it.
What have you learned through your relationship with your wife?
I learned that I'm a pretty selfish person. I think that's.
I think we all.
I think that's the first thing I think marriage, you learn that, and then you start to work on it, and then a child comes along and a blowtorch just happens to it, and it's like you can't do this anymore. I just sat with William today in the bonus room, and he was like, "Dada," and he pointed to my Xbox, and I said, "Oh, that's something Dada used to do, and you have taken all Dada's time, and so someday we will do this together." And I was just like thinking about playing a video game and like how I would do that, and my wife would be like, "Oh, yeah, you go ahead, for an hour or so." I was like, now to have an hour to play a video game,
right?
Man, dude, that was living the life. But all that being said, I think in marriage, man, you just find that person that fills in all these cracks that are the worst part of you. They come and they're like, "Hey, I'm really good at that thing. So here's a little help here. Here's that." And for my wife, she's very get things done, finish things, build things, make them look great. And I'm like, hey, we need to chill for a second. And I never knew that somebody in this world needed somebody to tell them, hey, you gotta, let's just chill. Let's go hang out and watch, This Is Us and cry a little bit or whatever it is. And I'm grateful that I can feel that small. Like I feel like I'm not doing anything, but there are days when my wife was like, I needed that. I needed to go scrapbook for a little bit or whatever it is, just hang on the couch together. But yeah, so grateful for that.
What other ways are you guys different?
Oh my goodness. She's beautiful. I'm Dave, she's 100%. She calls herself a beaver. And I'm an otter, okay? I didn't know this was a thing, okay? But beavers, like I said, they're building.
Is this like a different kind of personality test?
I think it is, but like otters. What do you think when you think of an otter? What do you think of?
I think of they're all in groups and they're
holding hands
happy.
and swimming.
Yeah,
man.
they're together.
They're just hanging.
Yeah,
and that's what they do. And then beaver, he's getting the job done. He's gnawing on wood, making sure it fits. And so I think that's kind of the overarching thing, that happens. But there's a lot of differences with us, but I think, man, when it gets down to the core of it, like just that love for each other, that love for Christ. When we're on the road, to see the way that she takes care of my son, it just brings me to tears. And then when I get home, how grateful she is. How grateful she is when I take out the trash after I've been gone. Like, you would have thought I just,
My wife loves it when I take out the trash. And I don't understand it, but she does.
It's like you literally just picked a bag up. But all that being said, I think that is what fills me, is that encouragement. Yeah. Like, even those small little things. And then when I do things wrong, she somehow gently reminds me that I've done it wrong. Once in a while, it'll be less gentle.
Gentle reminder.
Not as many times as you might think. So I'm grateful for that.
What is something that you struggle with?
Man, I struggle all the time, again, with those voices in my head, wondering if I'm enough, wondering if I am good enough for this. I literally, one of my biggest fears was after the pandemic ended, going back on the road. Would people want to hear it? And would people want to see us again, see me again? And that's really being really honest, because you wonder if what you've been going through is just you. And I think that when you're alone for that long, and I wasn't alone, I had my wife and son, but when you're away from that long, you wonder if people just won't respond to what you have to say.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that we've gone out and seen more people than ever coming out, and more people, man, more excited than ever, I feel.
So we talked about it a little bit. What brings you joy?
Definitely my son's laugh every
Amen.
Time. Whatever it's about, there's nothing that it can't just stop everything, and like I zoom in on what
a little kid's laugh. Baby laughing.
Thing,
oh my gosh.
It's the thing. That brings me joy. Getting to play again. Getting to stand on stage. Our lead guitarist, Dan McCall, our bass player too, but like our lead guitarist, okay? Take that, Cal. But no, Dan, when he's playing his guitar solos, I get a chance to go off stage. And we were just playing the other day, and I walked off stage, and it was like really sweaty. It was really hot. We were outside, and I just stopped, and I was like, oh man, like Dan's doing his solo, and it just moved me. It moved my heart. Like, I'm doing this alongside these guys. And I'm seeing, our drummer up there, Rains, is just smiling all the time. He brings me joy, man. He's just a joyful human. I'm like, wow, now I got to go back and be a part of this. And I think that was a really, God just kind of giving me that quiet. It wasn't quiet at all because Dan was wailing, but like that stillness to be able to recognize where I am and what I'm doing, and say, hey, I love you. Like, go out there and join your brothers. And that definitely still brings me joy.
Amen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging.
Yeah. Always
Appreciate
great,
it.
King Chris.
Good
We love
stuff.
you. Love you. And yeah, it's been great.